Hello and welcome to my COVID savings snow tips. This week we're looking at when to go, and there's good news and bad news. Which one do you want first? Yep, bad news is always my favourite to take first as well. So at the moment in the UK, you can't actually travel outside your postcode, let alone go overseas. And as a result, we've seen Ingham's, Total Ski and Flexi Ski all cancel all holidays for December, including Christmas. But it's a fast, deep and early cut, which means that they've got the best chance of cutting their overheads and giving big refunds. So what's the good news? BioNTech released news of a 90% effective vaccine. A lot of questions remain around that at the moment, but it does mean that there's a big bright light flashing at the end of the tunnel for life after COVID. But inevitably, I think this winter is still going to see a lot of disruption, so don't get your hopes up too early. The other bit of good news that's in there is that post-lockdown they're considering only 1 week of quarantine, so that could bring a lot of holidays back online potentially. But it also brings up an interesting subject about next week's episode, when I'm going to be looking at what the government could do to make things easier for the snow industry and reinstall some travel, at least for the end of this winter. So when to go, what are we looking at? Back in the accommodation episode a couple of weeks ago, I said the big battle or the big decision for this winter was whether to go with a really solid deal and book early and go for the best price, or to go last minute. And I think the events of the last couple of weeks have proved that the last minute booking is potentially the best option with so much in flux. And with that in mind, I think that we come back to driving. If you're going last minute, driving offers the most flexibility. So start looking into that if you haven't already. You need to make sure that your car documents are in place. You can start pricing up either the tunnel or the ferry. Make sure that you've got 6 months left on your passport. And then I'm going to put, as always, all of the details in the text. But a very good friend of mine, Jeremy Sladen, has put together unquestionably the most comprehensive guide for driving from the UK out to, he's focused mostly on France or Austria, but out to the out, that you will ever find. Don't be put off by the length. It is an absolute monster, but it's really easy to navigate to the chapters you want to get to. I found the vehicle documents and the maps ones the most helpful for me. If you've never done it before, it can feel intimidating, but honestly, it's really easy and it's also really cheap if you can put together a trip as a group. And as we always say, if you book self-catering accommodation, then you can stuff it full of food and really make the trip quite cheap like that. If you're booking last minute, I think right now the best option is to look at March and maybe Easter. Go for the end of the season when, pun intended, we're on the downhill slope of this current surge in cases, and you've got the best chance of actually being able to get out to the Alps. I think before that you're really rolling the dice, but it's up to you. If you're very fastidious about who you book with and how you book, and making sure that you've got 100% refund policies in all of the holidays, then you're not actually risking much. Right now, this brings us back to accommodation. Airbnb and Home Away have left the cancellation policies in the hands of the individual owners. So you need to really check, if you're thinking about booking self-catering accommodation through them, that you have got 100% refund on government policy and COVID policy there. And then finally, as always, Intersport have got some really good deals on at the moment. We've had a couple of chats about them over the last couple of weeks, and as such they've given us a 10% discount code. Details are in the text, and you can cancel those up to the very last minute, so there's absolutely no risk if you book now. And as always, the gold from these videos is in the comments, so your own advice and experiences from what you found is invaluable. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you again next week.